Once upon a time, in a very old house lived a ghost. His name was Bartholomew Boo, but everyone called him Barty. Barty was not a scary ghost, he was a silly ghost. He liked to help, or at least he to help. Today Barty was in the bathroom. The bathroom was a bit yucky, it needed some fixing. Barty decided he was the ghost for the job. He was a handyman ghost, he thought so. Anyway, he wore his best white bedsheet. It had 2 eye holes, so he could see mostly. Barty floated around the bathroom. He looked at the wall. Some tiles were loose. Aha, Barty thought, I can fix this. He grabbed some sticky stuff. It was goo. Ghostly goo, maybe? He wasn't sure. He just found it under the sink. He hoped it was the right stuff for tiles. He started to put a tile back on the wall. It was harder than it looked, especially when you were a ghost and wearing a bedsheet. The sheet kept getting in the way. The tile slipped. Whoops! It slid down the wall. It left a gooey trail. Barty sighed, a ghostly sigh. This was tricky. He tried again. He pushed the tile very hard. Splorch! The goo squished out. It went all over his bedsheet. Oh dear, Barty mumbled. His sheet was now a bit sticky and a bit lumpy. He hoped no one would notice. He finally got one tile to stay. It was a little crooked, but it was on the wall. Barty felt very proud. He had fixed a tile. He was a super handyman ghost. He did a little floaty dance. His bedsheet swished around. He admired his work. The tile looked okay if you squinted and tilted your head. He decided the other loose tiles could wait. Tiling was hard work, even for a ghost. He needed a rest, or maybe a cookie. Ghosts probably didn't eat cookies, but he could dream. After his tiring tiled triumph, Barty looked around. He was looking for his next big fix. His ghostly eyes under the sheet spotted something. It was the toilet. The toilet looked funny. It was not sitting straight. It wobbled a bit like a jelly on a plate. Barty hummed. A wobbly toilet was not good. What if someone sat on it? They might go wee and slide right off. That would be messy and not very funny. Well, maybe a little funny. Barty floated closer. He circled the toilet slowly, like a shark, a very clumsy bedsheet-wearing shark. He poked the toilet with a ghostly finger. It wiggled, it wobbled. It made a little glug-glug sound. It was a very suspicious sound. Barty did not like suspicious sounds, especially from toilets. Toilets were supposed to go whoosh, not glug-glug. This was a problem, a big, wobbly, gluggy problem. He had to investigate this toilet. He leaned in for a sniff. P.U. What was that smell? It was not a good smell. It was a stinky smell. A very, very stinky smell. It smelled like old socks and rotten eggs and maybe a wet dog that had rolled in something even yuckier. Barty's non-existent nose wrinkled under his sheet. Ew, he whispered. This toilet was definitely not right. It was a wobbly water weirdo, and it smelled super bad. Barty was a brave ghost, usually, but this toilet was scary, scarier than most monsters. He wondered if he should just leave, pretend he didn't see the wobbly toilet or smell the stinky smell, but no. He was Barty Boo, the handyman ghost. He had a job to do. He had to fix this. He had to find out what was wrong with this wobbly, stinky, gluggy thing. He took a deep, ghostly breath, which he didn't really need, but it made him feel braver. Barty decided to look inside the toilet. Maybe there was a clue in there. He reached for the lid. His ghostly hand trembled a little. Was this a good idea? Probably not, but he was curious, too curious. He lifted the lid slowly. Creak, the lid went up. Barty peeked inside. The water in the bowl looked strange. It was not clear. It was murky and bubbly and a weird shade of brownish green, like monster slime or goblin soup. He stared at the weird water. What was in there? Old candy, lost toys, a tiny swamp monster. Barty hoped it wasn't a swamp monster. He did not want to fight a swamp monster, especially not one living in a toilet. He decided the best thing to do was flush it. Yes, flushing would solve everything. It always did, usually. He reached for the handle. He pulled it. Chunka, whoosh, sort of. It started like a normal flush, but then something went wrong. Very wrong. The whoosh turned into a glorp, and then a blosh. A giant stream of water shot up right out of the toilet. It went all the way to the ceiling. Splash! It was not clean water. Oh no, it was the murky, bubbly, brownish-green water. It rained down all over Barty. His nice white bedsheet was now a sopping, wet, brownish-green bedsheet. Yikes! Shrieked Barty. This was not good at all. The water kept gushing. It was like a volcano, a toilet volcano. Barty tried to float away, but he was stuck. His bedsheet was too wet and heavy. He just hovered there, getting soaked. The bathroom was flooding with yucky toilet water. Barty closed his eyes. He wished he was anywhere else. Maybe back to fixing tiles. Crooked tiles were much better than toilet volcanoes. This was a disaster. A watery, stinky, gooey disaster. He hoped it would stop soon. Just when Barty thought it couldn't get worse, the gushing stopped. Silence. Drip, drip, drip. Barty opened one eye, then the other. The water was no longer shooting to the ceiling. Phew! He sighed a soggy, ghostly sigh. Maybe it was over. Maybe the toilet had calmed down. He was very wet and very smelly. His bedsheet clung to him like soggy seaweed. He looked like a sad, droopy, brownish-green blob. Not a very heroic handyman ghost, but oh no, the toilet was not finished. It started to rumble, a deep, angry rumble. Grrr, rumble. The whole toilet bowl shook. It shivered, it vibrated. Barty backed away as fast as a soggy ghost could, which was not very fast. Oh, he whimpered. This did not sound good. This sounded like trouble. Big trouble, bigger than the water geyser. He braced himself. What was going to happen now? He really didn't want to know. Then, kaboom! The toilet bowl exploded. Yes, it actually blew up. Bits of porcelain flew everywhere. And then came the poop. Brown, gloopy, stinky poop. It shot out of the broken toilet like confetti. But it was not fun confetti. It was poop-fetti. It splattered on the walls. It splattered on the ceiling. It splattered on the floor. And it splattered all over Barty. He was covered from the top of his bedsheet, head to the bottom of his floaty tail. Barty just floated there, frozen, dripping, covered in, well, he looked like a giant, walking, talking mud pie. Except it wasn't mud. His two eye holes in the bedsheet were wide with shock. He tried to say something, but all that came out was a little blurb. Then he slowly looked down at himself. He was a mess, a total, complete, utter, stinky, poopy mess. Being a handyman ghost, he thought, was much harder than it looked, especially when toilets exploded.